I feel better. So if you're watching these out of order, I did I went and saw the Hitman's Bodyguard first. I didn't know which one of these movies I wanted to see first. I kind of knew I wanted to see both of them, and I guess because the Hitman's Bodyguards had more publicity, I was like, okay, I should see that one. And after doing my rant, I found myself coming back here because I knew there was a later showing of this one, and I was like, what the hell, and I was like, I'm gonna regret this. It's gonna suck, and I'm just gonna be even madder than I already am. And lo and behold, not only did it not suck, it was a pretty damn enjoyable film. I love heist movies. I love heist movies, especially when you consider just how there's no way in hell any of these heists in real life would ever actually work. So I always love just seeing the creativity. It's kind of like watching a really good murder mystery. You know that in real life, the murder mysteries you watch on TV would never take place because there's so many intricate details and so many things that could go wrong. But you like seeing the creativity behind it, and that's what I like about a good heist movie. And this one was really creative and really, really fun. A lot of things I liked about this film, aside from whereas the Hitman's Bodyguard was so overdone, this one felt it was played much closer to the vest. The characters seemed like they were all underplaying, which is kind of funny because it's like there's this weird juxtaposition that goes on with how the characters physically are presented and then how they behave. Physically, they're every kind of terrible Southern stereotype ever, but none of them really overact it or really, go for the all hell, you'll do that kind of thing, except for like there's two comic relief characters who do kind of go a little overboard, but never in anything that's like too bad, So it's really funny that, the characters are all presented as these big kind of stereotypes, but the way they play it, they don't play it big and aw shucks and he yuck and, no, they play it pretty good. I gotta say, I find myself, whereas I was kind of saying that with Hitman's Bodyguard, I find I lost a lot of respect for Ryan Reynolds and maybe even a little of Samuel L. Jackson, but I gotta say with this film, I gained a lot of respect for Channing Tatum, who plays the lead guy. I mean, I didn't really dislike Channing Tatum. I just didn't care about Channing Tatum because wow, that's a jackass. Anyway, he was just another one of the hundreds of identical Hollywood leading men who never did anything, anything to stand out or anything interesting. The few things I had seen him in, I didn't like him in, and then I forgot it was him all the way through. But I gotta give him a lot of credit in this one. He did a really good acting job, and I think held the whole film together. I find it funny how many freaking British actors they had in here playing Southerners. Daniel Craig, the guy, I think his name's Adam Driver or Adam Devine or whatever. The guy who plays Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars movies. I believe he's British. But anyway, it's kind of funny they didn't get let's go with the assumption that he is British. It's kind of funny they didn't get actually Southern people to play these guys. They got two Brits, and but yeah, they were a lot of fun. Daniel Craig was a lot of fun, kind of showing his comic side because they're so used to him as James Bond and not like one of the fun Bonds like Pierce Brosnan or Roger Moore. he's more of the Timothy Dalton, Sean Connery Bond. It's a lot tougher. So seeing him in a more comic role was really refreshing. A lot of likable characters in this. I gotta say though, and I hate saying this, but the only weak link in the cast is Seth MacFarlane, which is it always feels like Seth MacFarlane is always the most out of tune with the rest of the cast in any film he's in, and I don't like saying that because I don't care what anybody says. I liked Seth MacFarlane. I think Seth MacFarlane is not only incredibly funny, I think he's incredibly intelligent, and I think he's incredibly talented. I really like the guy. I know he can be a dick sometimes, but, anyone can be a dick sometimes. I can be a dick sometimes, as I'm sure anybody who watched the Hitman's Bodyguard review can attest to. But I really liked him, but it felt like he was the only one that he was playing a character so just that little bit off from the rest of the characters that he didn't feel like he belonged in the same world, and not in a terrible way. Like, it wasn't enough to take it out of the movie, and it wasn't even a bad performance. It's the one performance that didn't sit with the rest of the film. It seemed like he was almost in another. It felt like he was in one of his movies, and everybody else was in another movie. So that's what it kind of felt like. He was still funny. I still like Seth MacFarlane. I don't know. The young lady who plays their sister. At least I didn't recognize her name or face, but she was really good. And she was another one, like kind of the stereotypical, southern hairstylist. She's got the long nails, and they're all painted different colors. She's got tattoos. That kind of person that, I don't mean to offend anybody, but what you kind of classify as, white trash kind of thing. But, she played it really well. And again, nothing stereotypical. I guess that's the thing I really liked about this movie, again, is that they called it, at one point, they called it Ocean's 7-Eleven, where it's basically supposed to be like a redneck, Ocean's 11. And what I liked about that is, yeah, these guys were not suave like the Rat Pack, and because that's the only Ocean's 11 I care about. You can take your George Clooney Ocean's 11 and shove it. I go with the original. Anyway, they weren't suave, they weren't sophisticated, but they weren't stupid. Like I say, these weren't like, aw shucks, we ain't got no book learning Southern guys. They were smart, but they were smart within a logical realm. They know about machinery, they know about mechanics, they know how things work, and that's where they base their plans around the things they know. And it made it, even though the plot, like, as it got towards the end, the plot got more and more complicated, and you're just like, man, so many things would have gone wrong. There's no way this would have worked in real life. But you give them a lot of credit for, like, not doing anything like, oh, we'll hack into this and no, they used the skills that they had and that they knew about, and it worked. It made the film, it made the absurdity of it more believable. I just realized I didn't talk about, like, what it is or what it's about. So basically, these two brothers, played by Channing Tatum and Kylo Ren, who that's just what I'm going to call him until I can learn his name, decide they're going to knock over this big, this big NASCAR track, like the biggest NASCAR track in the country. That's what they say in the movie, and I trust them on that. I'm not a NASCAR guy. And so they gather together these other like-minded hillbillies and whatnot, and do it. And there's always this thing, Kylo Ren keeps going on about the Logan luck. Their last name is Logan. And he keeps thinking they're cursed with bad luck, So he's saying it's all going to go wrong because we're unlucky. So the whole thing is them kind of breaking out of that stereotype. I guess if I had a problem with the film, I only have two real issues with it, and they're minor issues, but they are kind of issues. Number one is I I feel it went on a little too long. Like, it got to a certain point where you're just like, okay, let's wrap this up. I get it, and you kind of know how it's going to end. Even though they do throw a cute little twist in the end, but still, you're like, okay, I think they could have trimmed it down towards the end just a little bit. The other thing is that really, aside from the whole thing about them being unlucky, and they have the standard subplot in a film like this where, Channing Tatum's wife, Katie Holmes, who is still not a great actor, even in this, his ex-wife has custody of their daughter, and he wants to see his daughter more. But anyway, aside from that, there's not really any kind of catalyst for why these guys suddenly decide they're going to knock over this. They're going to go for this. I mean, there's no ticking clock. I mean, Channing Tatum gets fired from his construction job like early in the film, but it's never really hinted that he couldn't get another job somewhere else. It just means he's going to be out of work for a little while. But there's no ticking clock. They do the whole thing where Katie Holmes and her new husband are going to move away. But they even go to great pains to say, well, they tell Channing Tatum he'll still have his days, to see his daughter. So he's not losing his daughter. So there was really no ticking clock for them. There was nothing that really said, we have to rob this place now because we need this money now. Kind of like, unlike in, I forget the name of it right now, the Michael Caine one I reviewed earlier this year, where, they had kind of a need for that money. They were on Social Security, they needed the money. So you kind of got why they had to do it. But here, there was no real catalyst, and that's one of the only things that really bugged me about the film. Is like, I'm not sure why they're doing this, outside of the fact that if they don't, that's going to be a very short movie, so yeah. But that aside, I really liked this one, and I don't know if it's just because I really was mad when I came out of the Hitman's Bodyguard, and just anything would have been better. But I don't know. There's a likability about this movie. There's an earnestness and just a greater likability. I liked the characters. I liked the situation. I think that's the big thing with any heist movie. You want to see the guys who are stealing and doing bad things. You want to see them succeed. You want to be rooting for them. And I think these characters were humble enough and, well played enough that, yeah, I wanted to see them succeed. It was a good movie, a good little twist at the end. And I felt like it had some really genuine laughs. It had some really good, I wouldn't say anything that split my sides, but it had some pretty good laughs. I'm thinking about some of them now, and it was much more subtle laughs. It was little things. It wasn't like the Hitman's Bodyguard where everything, was doing that laugh. It's funny. Pee jokes, fart jokes. There was not one fart joke in this thing. There was not one pee joke. Again, this is just exactly what I was ranting about. And you can kind of, not mean to offend anybody, but you kind of see the irony here. This movie about hillbillies, supposedly, these rednecks who, are supposed to be fairly low on the intelligence ladder, treated me more like an adult than that sophisticated action comedy. I felt like they weren't talking down to me. I will say this, though, and I do wonder, because I'm not from the South, even though I live in the South. And I know from having movies made about Alaska that were either not weren't shot in Alaska or some that were, and yet we still come out looking like idiots. I know that feeling. So I kind of wondered at certain points if, were some of these portrayals of people from West Virginia, where the film takes place, were they maybe pushing it a little too far? Was it maybe a little offensive? I found myself asking that question, like, if I was from the South, born and raised and all that, how would I feel about this interpretation of where I'm from? And again, I'm from a place where, every time we're portrayed on TV, it's not flattering, or at least most of the time, So I kind of sympathize. And so I wonder just if anyone who went and saw it, like in West Virginia or even here, if they'd see it and kind of go, we're not all, like that. I mean, because they do kind of push the archetype button pretty hard in certain areas. So that's just something that was kind of crossing my mind as I was watching it. But, for me, I really liked this one. This one right now, it kind of saved me because, man, I was mad after Hitman's Bodyguard. And like I say, I'm walking into the theater and I'm just like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. This was stupid. Why did I come back? Just go home. I've had a shit week and I just want to not be out and doing things. And man, this was the right movie at the right time. And I will not be surprised if at the end of the year when I do my best of list, if this one doesn't end up on that list. It was a fun film, and I had a great time watching it. So if you're like me this weekend or anytime, when these films are out, and you find yourself going, which one of these should I go? My vote would be firmly for Logan Lucky. Or Lucky Logan. Now I can't even remember the name of the title. I guess that's the other thing. Maybe they should have given it a snazzier title. Maybe calling it Ocean 7-Eleven would have been funnier. I don't know. But anyway, I'd firmly side with this one. Go check this one out. It's a lot of fun and a good old-fashioned heist movie that, again, it's just the plot is so crazy. There's no way it can ever be done, but it's fun to watch them do it. So yeah, 2 reviews today to kind of make up for not having one last week, and one of them was me going insane, which, tends to get the most views. So if nothing else, I'm sure people will enjoy watching me have a mental breakdown. So yeah, kind of slim pickings going forward for a little while. So I don't know what the next one I'm going to see is. We're going to have to just wait and see what happens, but I'll always be back, so I'm sure you're all just thrilled to hear that. So until next time, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.